welcome back to Chad's Coffee Hour. It's been a minute or two since I've been on. Tonight I got a special guest here. I've been wanting to have him on for quite a while. We finally got times where we can pinpoint down. And sometimes it's hard to do over the summer and things because people get busy. Everybody's got lives. Needs no introduction, as far as most people know if you watch a lot of YouTube and reviews. Andre from Worth or Not channel. Learned a lot from that channel. I want to welcome you, Andre. Welcome to the show tonight, sir.
Thank you very much, Chad. And for anybody that's viewing in, and as I like to say on live streams, or in this case, a podcast, good morning, Vietnam.
Yeah, there you go. That was a good show. Good show. I remember that. It was back in the day. So how's everything going tonight?
Very good. Very good. Just a long day, long week, long projects, all that jazz. But, it's okay. I think it was Bill Cosby said, you're tired? Well, don't worry. You'll get all the sleep that you need when you're dead. So,
yeah, right.
I try to remind myself of that.
I just can't believe it's October already. I mean, it's just,
I know
it flies.
I went to, Lowe's 2 weeks ago to go get some brush killer for the back of the property, and they already had Christmas stuff out.
Oh,
I was like,
goodness.
Christmas trees and the lights and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, just, take it easy.
Yeah,
if you want Christmas, then wait till at least Thanksgiving's done and then stick up your Christmas tree. At least that's the way it was when I grew up.
That's like the forgotten holiday too, is Thanksgiving. You'll have pumpkins out. Next thing you know, boom, here's Santa Claus, I mean, and I love, Thanksgiving is one of my favorites. And who don't like sitting around with friends and family and eating a lot of food, How can you not like that?
You got to get that turkey high going, or that turkey, what is it? The turkey sleep lull.
Yeah. The little tryptophan or whatever that stuff's called that makes you tired. I smoked a turkey the last couple of years, and that was really good. That's good stuff.
I want to try the whole deep fry turkey.
Yeah,
but
I've done that.
You hear these horror stories where if the turkey is still like a little bit too frozen, so you got some water on it, and you dunk it into that boiling oil too quickly, you get the splash up. And I'm like, you know what? I'll just let my wife do it. She's the resident cook when it comes to holiday stuff. Otherwise, I cook the other times. Right.
And you see those horror little videos when we're like at, you see the fire department come to somebody's house because the garage is caught on fire, and that's scary because, like you said, they don't dump it in real slow. They just kind of like put it in, and then that oil erupts, and you got that open propane flame down there, and it just takes off. So
fun times. Depends on what part of the country that you live in, because that heat may kind of warm you up.
Exactly.
I'm being facetious.
Right. Yeah. Don't try that at home, folks.
Yeah.
We don't want to condone that. But I've had fried turkey. I've never tried one. I do enjoy the smoke in the turkey. It's not too bad either. Get some good rub on there. It's tasty, man. It just smoking meat. I've got in the last couple of years, and that's some of the best eating. It's really good. I like doing that.
Yeah. A friend of ours just got back from Switzerland and brought me some salt. That's smoked salt.
Never heard of that.
It's not like little granulated salt. It's like bigger chunks. And when you smell it, you just go, wow, this would be great on steak. This would be great on fish. So I still haven't tried it yet, but
do you break it
I
up?
like that smoke flavor.
Yeah. Do you break it up if it's in those big chunks like that, or do you just leave it like it is?
I tried some on some eggs one day, and it does liquefy pretty quickly.
Oh, okay.
So, what that's
smoke about anything, I guess.
True.
I mean, I thought doing a meatloaf one time was weird, but man, that was good too. Had that nice smoky flavor, and it was really good. So, well, this isn't a cooking show, but we just get off on these tangents. That's what I like about it. It's just whatever comes. It's nothing formal. So. Well, Andre, like I said, I really appreciate your show. I actually bought a couple cameras on your recommendations. The first one was because at the time I didn't really want to spend too much. I bought the XTU, the old XTU Pro, I think it was.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I bought that little guy. Video quality was good, but oh my God, the audio was terrible on that little thing. So I went to the Action 4. Big jump. And love it. Absolutely. Yeah, I love that camera because you can actually hear, people when you're talking, even if you're not right on the camera. So, like the fishing videos, I'll have the XTU behind me, so it's got the video. But if I want it, or in front of me, I mean, that way if I talk and it's all, or it's a chest cam, so you can be able to hear me. The microphone's right there, but the other one will be behind me. You can still hear me, so it works out good that way. But
well, do you have an Adobe account? Do you use like Premiere Pro or any of their products?
I honestly, I just use the free version. I need to get that Express version though,
because Adobe offers something that's called enhanced speech.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take garbage audio like from that XTU or from any source, and you stick it in, and you can actually adjust how much that you want the AI to manipulate the audio, and it'll get rid of background noises, it'll get rid of traffic, and it really accentuates your voice. And I've had to use that a couple times in a pickle where I had a battery operated microphone on a camera. And, I thought it was charged. So it wasn't charged. So I got no audio except from an action camera that was a C camera that was like 10 feet away. And so I just used enhanced speech, and it cleaned up the audio really, to a point to where you could actually use it.
Right. Nice. That is pretty cool. I have to check that out. So you just you send the video link or something to that, and then it does it that way. Is that how it does it?
I'll strip the audio off of the video so that I get just the audio track. And I always convert audio over to WAV file instead of an MP3, just because an MP3, it does compress the audio a lot. It introduces a lot of artifacts. So if I can rip it as a WAV file, that way it's pretty much uncompressed. And then I just upload it to enhanced speech, and it takes, if it's a 5-minute segment, it'll take about 2.5, 3 minutes. And then you can adjust the slider. So if you go, whoa, that sounds really artificial, you can back off a little bit. And from my experience, the few times that I've used it, I even use it with like cell phone footage. I did a video of cell phone audio in my front dining room, and that thing has got like 15-foot ceilings in it. So you want to talk about really a reverberant room. And as I was talking, then I switched it over to the enhanced speech, and wow, it was just amazing. You would have thought that had a microphone right up against my mouth.
Wow. Yeah, you don't want it too AI. Sound like Siri or something,
Yeah, no, and it starts to really distort a lot of your speech. So it'll take certain sounds and it'll go, oh, well, if you crank it up too much, like 90%, 95%, it'll take that speech and it'll go, oh, that's a piece of noise, or it'll manipulate it so much to where it's like let's say if I say Chad, and if you do it too much, it'll go, yeah. You're like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, right. Wow. Yeah, I never messed with that. That sounds interesting. But my editing is pretty very basic, as far as that goes. I just, whatever audio I get, I guess that's what I go with. But I have to remember that one then on the Adobe. It's amazing what you can do with this stuff nowadays.
I'm an Adobe, I hate paying the subscription fee. I tried switching over to DaVinci Resolve, and DaVinci Resolve, to all the people out there that use it, hey, kudos to you. That whole node situation is just different for me. And I'm at an age to where I don't like to learn a whole lot of new tricks. And Adobe, to me, I can close my eyes and use all my shortcuts, and I can get around. So I've been using Adobe since 2000 and oh, goodness gracious. This is 2024. I'm trying to think of how long that's been. This is back when you could like buy the CD.
Okay.
And you actually had that version. Man, I want to say 2008.
Okay. Yeah.
2007. That's way back.
I remember you mentioned that now with the software used to come on the CDs, you'd install it.
Yeah.
I remember that now. There's no downloading it, like back then. So, that's pretty funny. Yeah. Okay. Well, just so people get to know you a little bit, just give a background, like where you're from, kind of how you got to where you are now with this channel, and tell us all that, fill us all in on that big gap there that people may not know about you.
Well, my wife always puts a little 2 cents a mayor. It's like, be careful how much you share out there.
Right, exactly.
Because we do have a family and, times are crazy right now. But anyway, quick synopsis. I was born in Germany.
Okay.
As my parents would say, I was made in Canada, born in Germany. And then came to the States when I was a year and a half old. And then my father was an accordion player. He was the first accordionist for Lawrence Welk before they got Byron. My father was a outstanding virtuoso musician. And then we went to Detroit, Michigan for a while. Through my youth, and then came down to Texas in 1979. I was here for the ice storm of 79 and the summer of 1980. Jobs, I worked radio from my first gig. I was actually a freshman in high school at the local radio station, and they had an audition for a 1-hour spot. Okay. So I remember, and I don't remember the actual script, but I remember that it was for KFC, and that was my audition tape. And I got a phone call to come back, and I spoke to the program director, and I got a little 1-hour show, and I was like, oh, that's great. And then I moved to Texas, and then worked for KQZY, which was 105.3 FM. It was a easy listening station. So between high school, then college, and then, working radio full time, and then doing voiceover work. And then, I've done a lot of things. So what's the whole saying? Jack of all trades, master of none. But whenever I do something, I try to be really good at it. And that's just the personality type that I am. Regarding the channel, the channel was kind of born on a whim where I didn't want to spend the money for a GoPro Hero 4. Okay. Because I was just like, that's this outrageous money. I mean, don't quote me, but I want to say it was $4.99 back then. $500 was a lot of money. And I still got this little dude right here. The SJ Cam. Well, is it upside down? Yep, it was upside down. See if it'll focus, since it didn't focus the other day.
Right.
SJ Cam, the 4000. SJ 4000. And that little guy was, I don't know, I think I paid $60 for it. And I was like, you know what? It's 1080p, it's decent video quality. And this is before image stabilization was really brought into action cameras. Okay. Because it was the GoPro Hero 5 that first came out with electronic image stabilization, but that was only 1080p. 4K was still unstabilized, and then you had all the gimbals. And my first venture with a gimbal was by a company called Evo, and this is back when companies weren't sending me anything. I had to, buy it because I was a nobody, and I'm in the big scheme of things, I'm still a nobody, but I'm a nobody that's got a couple more ears that I can talk into. But that Evo gimbal, God, that was like $3.99 for a gimbal. I was like, damn, that's about the same price as the camera. And now you look at where we are today. But the whole premise of the channel was to let you know if something was worth it or not. And it kind of started with the whole budget action camera stuff. And then, as your videos get out there, there's some companies out there that they notice you and they want to send you a product and want you to review it. And it was a lot of the budget action camera companies, and SJ Cam started sending me stuff. Thei, for those that remember Thei, Firefly, these are companies I wish that were still around, because maybe they could make a good, decent budget action camera that maybe it won't compete with everything of what your top 3 offer, but close enough. And the whole premise was just to let you know if it was worth it or not. So I'm buying this stuff to let you know. And I would tell you the pros and the cons. And, there's nothing out there that's perfect. I mean, whether you're buying a car or whatever the case is, there's always something that you could nitpick.
Exactly.
But I try to give every company an overall opportunity. If it's 80%, now this is what I'm talking about, budget stuff, by the way. But if it's like 80% of what a name brand would be, that's okay to me, because you're talking about maybe sometimes only 30% of the cost or 40% of the cost of a name brand. But then there's times where, we just have to admit, and whether, and I know the economy's tough, but I would rather tell somebody, if you're wanting the best image stabilization, the best audio, and the best video quality on a rugged camera, whether it is a Sony A7 IV, is about to reach for it, but I don't want the lens to fall out of it. But the Sony A7 IV or A7, whatever the case may be, it may be worthwhile just to save up your money a little bit longer and buy once. Unfortunately for me, I bought a lot. Like GoPro, I've got the 1 through the 1. I've got the 5 through the 12. I refuse to buy the 13 because the 12, I bought it and I was like, God, it's just really a firmware updated 11, and they threw some blue speckles on it and they took away GPS. And to me, I was like, wow, that's kind of a disappointment. And the 13, and I don't know how you are about, the lucky 13 or unlucky 13, but I thought sticking with the GoPro Hero 13 was kind of an unlucky choice. And now that I've seen some of the videos, they've improved a couple of other things, but it's still that same GP2 chip, and they haven't been able to really, I hate to say it, but, I guess it's just got to be called out. DJI, by the way, does not send me product, but the Action 5 Pro, the Action 4, the Insta360 Ace Pro, these are the top 3 cameras. And unfortunately, GoPro is now in 3rd place as far as I'm concerned personally. Right. But there's a lot of people that are GoPro fans, and I've got that. There's some people that like Canon over Sony.
You think it's a name
Canon's
thing?
Color science. I just don't like their cameras.
You think it's a name thing, or because people think of actually immediately mind goes to GoPro? Probably most people,
Yeah, when you think
computer, you think Apple. I think maybe phone, you think of iPhones. Maybe it's part of the name. I don't know.
Well, but it's funny that brand loyalty is like either you're iOS or you're Android.
Right.
And the Android people are like, oh, iOS sucks, Android's great. And then if you're an Apple user, you're just like, I've had both, and
so have I.
I'm just part of the Apple ecosystem, like when it comes to phones, at least.
Yeah, I did try the iPhone. What to say? I did. I can't knock the iOS. I didn't have it long enough to really get familiar with it. But of course, I was always trying to mess with it. But at least I think it was I don't remember which number of the iPhone it was, but man, the battery was terrible. I'm always charging. So I went back to old Motorola phones. I still use old Motorola Android because these batteries are the best in the business as far as I'm concerned. They last forever. But that's the only reason I got it. Wasn't because I didn't like it. I didn't like the software. I just didn't like the battery life. I said, nah, this ain't worth it to me. So I went back to Android. Plus,
so which one had the bad battery? Was it the Samsung that were catching fire?
I believe so. Yeah, like if they were in bags, or like if they were taken on airplanes and things like that. Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, that's very scary. I've actually seen a buddy of mine take an action camera battery and puncture it, and it's very interesting. It catches on fire very quickly.
Oh, really?
Let's off. Yeah, and it's like same thing with cell phones. You bust a cell phone battery, and that thing goes into self-destruct mode.
I had no idea. I don't go around busting batteries, but that's good to know. It gets run over. I don't be around it.
Well, it's like, I've been having a lot of these electric bikes sent to me here lately, and I don't like keeping them in the garage because no offense to any of these companies, but I don't know if they're sourcing out the battery management or the battery construction to another third party that has got 8-year-old kids making the battery, and I just don't want to burn down my house.
Yeah.
So I keep them all outside in the shed. I figure, well, there's whatever's out in the shed. If it happens to go, it goes.
Yeah, well, there's that famous video now floating around from that Hurricane Helene or whatever, where that EV was in the garage and just caught fire. The salt water just caught it on fire and started burning up right there in the garage. I was like, well, that's not good, So maybe
if the hurricane didn't get you, the battery did.
Yeah, right. Oh, everything's fine. The house is fine here. Maybe what's that smell? Yeah, that's scary stuff, and they're getting ready to get hit again down in that area. So pray to them people out there that get out of their time. But yeah, I just don't know. I didn't realize that batteries were that. I mean, I know they always got the labels on it. Now I understand why they do. Now I understand why you don't want to ship things overseas with things like that, because it always make you wonder, hope it gets there safe. So now you said the 12 got rid of GPS on the GoPro, right?
On the GoPro, yeah, they got rid of the.
They bring it back on the 13.
They brought it back on the 13, and excuse me, I never been a big user of GPS until I got the Insta360, the Ace Pro. And then I got the remote that they had sent me. And I was like, wow, this is actually really cool. You can get the telemetry off of it. And when you stick it into the Insta360 desktop app, you can pull the telemetry, you can change how it looks, and you can see the slope of the camera, not just the speed, but the distance and all that. So I can see where there's a lot of people, because, I mean, do I use action cameras for a lot of sports? No. I mean, I'll stick it on an e-bike, right? Or I'll give it to my daughter and I'll strap it to her while she goes skiing and she gets some great footage. But I mean, do I go cliff diving and any of that stuff? Nope. Nope. But, for the people that really use GPS, because they stick it on, what do you call it? Those sand buggy cars, right? Or they're sticking on an airplane or whatever the case is. And, I can see where that came in handy for them. And I can see why there was a little bit of backlash because that GPS module got taken out. It's just, I mean, we're in very interesting times right now when it comes to technology. And it's not just about action cameras, but just in general.
Right.
I mean, I have to be careful because there's a couple of things I can talk about and a couple of things I cannot talk about.
Right.
But
AI
there's
referring to.
What's that?
AI you referring to?
Well, no, it's well, I guess maybe in a roundabout way, but there's some cameras that are coming out that are gonna really. I mean, if you think that the cameras are great right now, just wait. Wow. I mean, technology is just getting ridiculous. But then again, that's like with everything. I mean, who would have thought years ago that you and I could be sitting here on a podcast, and I'm in Texas. Where are you at?
Indiana.
Indiana. That we could do this and have decent video quality where it didn't look like it was filmed on a potato, and you got different, decent audio and all that. And, I mean, who would have thought? And it just keeps getting wilder. And then you look at, I hate to bring up Adobe again, because Adobe's not a sponsor of this channel or my channel or anything, but their Firefly, it's now text to photo. So you text what you want the photo to be, and it creates it. Then and if you're like, it still looks a little bit artificial, you can keep on typing prompts into it, and it keeps getting better and better. You can say, okay, I want a picture of this shot on 35 millimeter, and I want it cinematic, and I want a light beam from the left side, and it'll just create it. Firefly is about to release their video AI. So it's not just a photograph anymore. And then with Adobe's partnered up with another company. So let's say I got a video clip and it stops right here. But man, I wish it would just go like another 10, 15 seconds. I can just grab that end of the clip and stretch it out, and AI will fill in the rest.
Oh, wow.
So it'll fill in like you finishing walking through a room.
Right.
I mean, this is, the technology is great. And a lot of people that don't like AI and the action cameras. And I'm like, you know what? Anything that gets us better video quality and with less noise. And you look at like the DJI Action 5 Pro or the Ace Pro from Insta360, those things are just low light beasts. I mean, for an action camera. I mean, come on, who would have thought that?
Right. That's usually their downfall. It was always the biggest downfall to them. You couldn't see when it got dark.
And it's funny because, I mean, when I was first doing reviews, like, years ago, people would always ask, can you do a low light test of it? The image sensor is that big, I mean, it can only gather in so much light. And it would always look terrible and grainy and all that. But I guess you submit to the people that I figure, the viewers, they want to see it. So it takes a little bit more of my time to shoot that. And that's fine. I mean, bottom line is if I'm looking how to change a starter on my Challenger, I go to YouTube.
Right.
There's a video about it. So people are the same way when it comes to products. I mean, unfortunately, there's so much of that shill factor that's going on where a lot of, I can't say a lot. There's a few, and a few bad apples will ruin it for everybody. But there's a few people out there that are just in it just to, and it's funny because when it comes to product reviews, and I'll just say this, and I know I'm getting a little bit off target here.
No, that's fine.
You keep me back in my lane.
Your channel's about reviews.
But it's you've got people that either A, want to get products for free, and that's why they do product reviews, or you get people that shill it because they want to sell off the affiliate link so that they can get a little bit of affiliate money. You got people that will say the worst thing in the world is the best thing in the world because they want to be on the good graces of that company to send them more products.
Right.
And like you and I had talked about the other day, I mean, I've got a very simple little email that when a company reaches out to me, I let them know I will review your product. And if it's worthy, then will do a review video on it. And, I'll knock on wood. I've dealt with a lot of really good companies, only a few bad ones.
Right.
And the only reason I bring this up is because, like the whole Insta360 debacle. And I don't know if you had a chance to
I was seeing a few videos on that where they were about that, like telling people, hey, you're not sponsored or only something to that effect, or,
Yeah. I mean, they're being paid a sponsor. So it's basically, when you get a sponsorship deal from a company, it's basically like you are now hired as a production company to make like a commercial for them.
Okay.
All right. I mean, if you just want to just cut it right down to what the bare bones is, you're making a video, you're being paid for it. You want to try to be as honest as you can, but then again, you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you, which I can understand, and that's where that shill factor kind of comes in a little bit. But apparently there was a couple of YouTubers that had bad experiences with the people the reps that they deal with. So when you have a company that reaches out to you, there's one of their marketing reps, and that becomes your target marketing rep. And they were telling some of these people that they were paying sponsorship money for, hey, don't mention that it's a sponsored video because then it looks like it's more organic. And, that's some deep water to get into because now it's your, I'm sorry, my lack of words here. It's a little late.
That's all right. Would it be like integrity?
Yeah, integrity. There you go. Perfect word. Thank you very much, Chad. You start to lose your integrity. to do that. They had some issue with it, which rightfully so, and they decided to boycott Insta360. And even though I've had no issue with Insta360 at all, when that kind of hit the fan, I had to actually take a step back and go, well, hang on a second. Is this a company I want to deal with? Because right now it's looking dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And as I took a step back, and I had to realize, you know what? My reps have never, ever, ever asked anything of me. I mean, they've just, hey, we got this new product. Would you like to check it out? Yeah, sure. That's it. They don't tell me, hey, make 4 videos about it, or do a video about this, or show it in a competition with this. They don't tell me nothing. They just send it to me. And all that they ask is, hey, can you let us know that you actually got it?
Right.
And I'll send them an email. Yep, it arrived. And I'll even give them a courtesy of, if I run across some issues, I do let them know, hey, I came across this. Is this something? And it allows their engineers to kind of get a real world feedback, maybe something that they didn't experience. But I've never had any issues with them. And I had to kind of sit there and go, okay, well, I'm sorry that a handful of these YouTubers, out of all the review channels that are out there, there's a handful that had a bad experience. It could just be that rep. It could just be that department manager for that rep that made them do that. I don't know, but my experience
has been good.
I've had a wonderful experience with Insta360, and I hope it stays that way. If it ever turns anywhere shady at all, I will drop them like a hot potato.
Right. And they're okay with pros and cons on videos as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. I mean, most of the time I'll send them a link to the video like a day or two after I've already posted it. I'll never send anybody a video of something prior. I mean, if that's in there, if they try sending me, because I actually had a company that they sent me a product, and then after they made sure that I received it, then they started giving me this list of stipulations. And I was like, whoa. You're not paying me for this video. And why don't you just send me a prepaid return label, and I'll just ship it right back to you. And then they tell me, no, go ahead and keep it. And then I'm so upset, I just give it away. I'll give it away to one of the staff up at the office or whatever, but I don't even want anything to do with it anymore. I've got something right now, and I don't know if I want to throw this company completely under the bus, but they try to pull this monkey business with me. iCoco. So it kind of looks like an Insta360, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's only got one lens. But the cool thing is the lens turns around.
Okay, right.
Okay. And it comes with a couple of batteries, battery charger, a bunch of accessories. They claim it as the best 4K webcam, period. Okay, well, we're going to put that to the test.
Exactly. Yeah, you're throwing it out there. We're going to find out.
Yeah, and then they followed up to make sure I got it, because they said tracking says that you got it, and I said yes. It came in, and then they gave me this long list, and that just leaves just a bitter taste in my mouth. So I was like, send me a prepaid return label. So I still yet to hear from them regarding that. Once they send me a prepaid return label, it will go right back to China, and they can have their stuff back. If not, and by the way, I did test it out. It's garbage.
What, the world's best 4K webcam?
It's like 360 that's been upscaled to a 4K timeline. It's this.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I mean, and being honest, I mean, I think a lot of people can see that, whether you're being deceptive sometime. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. But it's like, if you do that kind of stuff, how are they going to trust anything you ever say? I mean, I ain't going to that guy. He's favor them. He's not going to say anything good about them. And then to me, you lose all credibility. I think so. Yeah, you gotta be open and fair. I mean,
I've had somebody comment before that, that I use affiliate links. I'm sorry. I mean,
A lot of people do.
I don't have $30 million in the bank.
Right.
You know, I mean, YouTube money is fine and all dandy and everything, but the way I look at it is like for this channel, worth it or not. If I'm spending X amount of hours filming and then X amount of hours editing and testing the product and all that, because that does take time. And I put this video together, whether it's 5-minute video or 8-minute video or 12-minute video, and I'm getting just AdSense off that video. I mean, sometimes it breaks down to, your pennies to the hour of work involved. So why not make some affiliate money?
Right.
But I don't tell everybody that you have to go out and go buy it. I let everybody know if you're interested in it. I got product links down in the description below.
It's like return on investment, right? You're investing your time and your money into this stuff. So why not get a little bit back?
I am not UNICEF. I do have to put food on the table. I do have a mortgage to pay. I got a daughter to take care of. So
exactly, we all got the bills, and just get higher and higher. It seems like anymore.
Oh my goodness!
Else. It's like. Now that 360 you're talking about, is that the one that I've seen a lot of videos? They take it and they sit there and they spin it around, or is that a different? Okay.
Yep. 360 cameras. The first one I got was from Insta360. They sent me the X2, and the X2 was a good camera for its time. Then the X3 was really, really good. And then now the X4 is just phenomenal. It is a great 360 camera. And the cool thing is you can actually, instead of 360 mode, you can have it go single lens mode.
Right.
So now you can just use one of the lenses and use it as a traditional action camera. Although you got to be very careful, because I was using the Insta360 bike clamp with the X4, and it was on my handlebars. And no matter how much you clamp that little jaw down on the handlebars, it has a tendency, because when you've got a long pole and the X4 is very heavy, it just starts to do this. And I was talking and not paying attention, and all of a sudden it started. I saw it doing a little bit of a drop, but I was like, "Oh, okay, not that big of a deal." And all of a sudden it just went down, hit the ground on the lens. And I guess when it hit the ground, it spun a little bit and it loosened up on that stick. And when it did, it hit the other lens. So totally trashed it.
Yeah.
And, it is what it is. I mentioned it to my Insta360 rep, because, I really like that camera. And I thought maybe they'll send me another one. He was like, "Oh, it's really sorry to hear about that, but we do have a new clamp that's coming out." And so I went ahead and bought another X4, because I was like, you know what? It works good enough. I like it. I like using it for real estate videos. I like using it on the back of my Challenger. If I go to Mexico and get in some races, that's kind of slang term down here in the South, because street racing is illegal.
Exactly. There you go.
But it's a real good camera. It's a real good camera.
Yeah. Now, when on your reviews, do you just mainly stick to cameras, or do you do anything like microphones or any kind of like TV speakers, anything like that?
I've reviewed speakers, the Edifies, but those are ones that I bought myself, because I needed some good monitor speakers, and I was like, well, you know what? I bought them. I like them. I'll do a review on them. And but I've done microphones, a couple hundred microphones. Finally gotten a good relationship with Rode, and Rode has sent me out the Rode Wireless Pro. I'm looking down because I'm trying to get it out of its case. The little Pro microphone, great little kit. Rode didn't pay me. They didn't ask anything. That's what I like, and I like to be left alone. I don't want to do what someone tells me to do unless they're paying me for it. But if they're going to pay me for it, I do have to have, like you said earlier, that integrity. So when I have my sponsorship with Artlist was a very easy sponsorship for me to have, because I was using them before they sponsored me. and I believe in their product. Great product, never had any issue. There's another music company that's offered for YouTubers. I'm not going to mention their name, but if there's a crisis, it also could be a I'm kind of beating around the bush.
Right.
But anyway, no, I'll just say it was Epidemic Sound. Epidemic Sound, I got a couple of copyright hits, and they were very, very slow to fix it. And then the last one that I got with them, God, that's years ago. But they were like, well, if you upgrade to this plan, then we'll take care of it for you. Well, I was like, wow, now you're trying to squeeze me for more money to take care of a copyright that shouldn't be there. How about this? How about I just leave you and I'll find somebody else? So I went to Artlist. The music catalog at that time when I first started with Artlist was not that great, but it was growing. And I mean, now if you look at Artlist and what they offer everything. So, I mean, it's a good union. So if a company wants to sponsor me and I like their product, that makes it very easy for me. If they want to sponsor a video, but I don't like their product, I won't take the sponsorship.
Okay.
It's just not worth it because then I would have to lie on camera.
Right.
I'd have to say that, I don't know.
Oh,
this mouse from this company right here is the best thing that you've ever seen.
Right,
it's fantastic. And it scrolls, and inside I'm puking just because they sent me money. So I don't want to do that.
I don't blame you. How many cameras do you think you have right now? Do you have a ballpark frame? How many cameras you've had over time?
What are you, an IRS agent or something?
Yeah, right. I mean, need to insure that room in case something would happen.
Excuse me. How many cameras? Are we talking action cameras or big cameras?
Yeah, we'll go with action cameras. You think because you've got all the Osmos, I think.
Action cameras, I would probably say a safe guess about 150 to 200.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of them are from companies that are not around anymore.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know this. And, this may be enlightening to a couple of people that are viewing in. And that is, let's say I can go to Alibaba and I can look up action cameras and I can go, oh, okay, well, there's an action camera. If I buy, but by the way, you have to buy it in bulk. If I buy 5,000 of them, they're $40 a piece. If I buy 10,000 of them, they're $29 a piece. If I buy 30,000 of them, maybe they're $15 or $17 a piece. And when you buy in bulk, I can say, I want it to be called Worth It or Not Action Camera. And they will brand it. And they'll make firmware for it that when it turns on, it'll say Worth It or Not on the back screen. And they do the packaging and everything. So that's how these companies come to exist. And it really came to light when, I guess it first started with Akaso. So the Akaso had the Brave, I think it was the Brave 7 LE, the first waterproof camera for them. And then you saw XTU and you saw all these other camera companies.
Right.
And all the same body style because it's all coming from the same factory.
Okay.
And some of the internals are a little bit different. If you want to spend a little bit more money, then you can get a better sensor or better chipset. And, SJ Cam, there was they came out with the SJ8 Pro, which was a really good action camera from SJ Cam. It was real 4K, native 4K. They were using an Umbrella chipset. Umbrella is the chipset that GoPro used for years from the 5 back.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that set.
And then all of a sudden, there was a company that was called Van Top that had the Moment S6, I think it was. So they reached out to me, they sent it to me, and I'm like, wow, this thing looks just like the SJ Cam. You know, Chad, I'll be damned. I'll open the thing up, take the battery out, and on the inside, there's a label that says SJ8 Pro.
Oh, man.
Even though it was Van Top,
Right.
Van Top labeling on the outside.
Oops.
You know, it's because there's overstock. And
Right.
as a manufacturing company, if they've made 50, 100,000 of these, and you only bought 50,000, they got another 50,000. They got to find another buyer to buy up the stock, and they just pop off the outside case, put on a new case with a new name, and there you go. So that's what the budget action camera market's about. Casso, Casso was coming. Yeah,
it's a whole new light on it for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
that's definitely different.
And I had a viewer say, "Hey, I bought an Acaso V50 because I saw your video on it from like 2 years ago, but it's so terrible. It's not anywhere close to what your video was." So I was like, okay, you know what? I'll buy one. I'll buy the new version because it said I think it was the 2023 version. It was late last year when I bought it. And it was garbage. The internals, they completely cheaped out on the internals. They're charging the same price. They changed out the image sensor. They changed out the chip. It was total garbage. And to me, it was like, wow, they took a very famous camera. I say famous, a very popular camera because it was $99. And they took a popular camera and they did a money grab. So they decided that they were going to strip out the internals and go real cheap on the internals. Guess what? Nobody would know the difference. Well, people did know the difference. Right. And I had to make a video about it. And the Casso, they sent me an email and asked me to take it down. I was like, why? It's the truth.
Right.
I'm going to take it down. You know, if you want to come out with a 2024 version that's back to the original stuff and send me one of those so I can test it to make sure that you're not trying to pull a fast one again, then sure, I'll be more than happy to. But I've never heard from them after that. But I know I'm not going to take down a video because somebody wants me to. And I hate companies that steal my videos. I mean, they'll send me a product and they think that they're going to be real slick and stick my video on their website, or they just copy it and put it right on their Facebook. I mean, on their Facebook, they put it right on their YouTube channel.
Don't even ask.
So I sent, it happened with an e-bike company. They took 1, 2 videos. And after the first one, because, you know, when you're on YouTube and you go to your YouTube channel and you look up copyright, YouTube lets you know if somebody's borrowed a section of your video or all of it. And this bike company had taken all of the video.
Wow.
So I sent them an email going, hey, this was not the agreement. You want to explain this to me? They went radio silent. A couple days later, I got another one that popped up. They took and they chopped up the video and they were using sections of it of my wife in it. And I was just like, okay, so I sent them another one. You're going to take this down? Nope. Okay. Well, then I went ahead and copyright struck them on both of them. And those were hard strikes. And then they respond. Oh, we're so sorry. Can you please remove those copyright strikes? Because if we get one more, our channel's gone. It's like, no, I'm not going to. I mean, why does it take you a month to respond to an email? You got a copyright strike.
Was they hoping you wouldn't notice?
Or maybe they just think, well, we sent them a bike,
Yeah.
He's going to be indebted to us. And, at the end of the day, nobody does YouTube to any extent that they want to just be free about it. You have to kind of look at it a little bit if you're going to take it seriously, a little bit as a business.
Yeah, you do.
And, stuff costs money. Lights cost some money. I've been very lucky that I've had some good companies that send me out some decent products that I've been able to use, not just for the review, but actually up at the studio. And but then again, I mean, when you're talking about C-stands and audio equipment and audio cables and all that, and Sony doesn't send me anything. So my A7 IV, A7S3, the FX3, the FX30, the FX6, those are all out of my pocket. But then again, I use them professionally too. So, but that's still money that you've got to spend to use for this equipment. It's not like, and by the way, I choose to spend money on equipment. I could use my iPhone and just make a YouTube video. And that's probably the smartest people out there that use their iPhone or their Android phone.
Some people, it's all they use. Yeah.
And a decent little microphone with let's say you get the, what is it? The Zoom H1 recorder with a little lapel microphone. You stick that on and boom, now you got some decent audio.
Right. Like this little guy right here. It's a USB-C.
The harmonic.
Yeah, that thing actually sounds really good. Put that in my cell phone. I've done a few cell phone videos too. I don't feel like breaking out the Action 4. I can just do that. But that little thing sounds really good. It picks up pretty good. Good enough to where it's going to be what I need it for.
Yep, I've got the same Saramonic, but it's the one with the 3.5 millimeter.
Okay.
So I would stick it in the side of the Sony ZV-1 and get some better audio out of it. No, but I mean, I review everything from camera lenses to, I think I was talking to you the other day when we were kind of prepping. Viltrox. Viltrox is a company that's come a long, long way from being God, I hate to say a no-name third party, but here they are. They're making full frame lenses that are under $200 that are fast lenses. I mean, 1.7, 1.8. This one here is their little pancake lens that I was showing you the other day.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's got autofocus. I don't even know where they stick the motor in for the autofocus on this thing. But I've done lens reviews. Trying to think. The only other camera would be the the M1. They came out with the Micro Four Thirds camera, and it was a great Sony sensor. Straight up potato of a camera. I mean, it was terrible autofocus. It's like I have a love for my old Panasonic Lumix G7. Even though it's Micro Four Thirds, it took great images. It's got the autofocus of a blind person. I mean, it's like, okay, do I get your face here or do I get the back wall? Or what am I going to focus on right now?
Right.
And it would just sit there and pulse. And so with the G7, I'd always have to shoot manual focus with it. And, if I'm using an anamorphic lens, no anamorphic lenses are autofocus. So you've got to manually focus. So, but, autofocus nowadays is great.
Right. Did you ever get into camcorders in it at all, or just stay away from those? Did you?
Yes.
Okay,
No, I'm going to pull one out for you. Okay.
Okay.
Can you see that?
I sure can.
That's a Sony, and this is the original case that it came in. And one of, trying to think if this was the first or the second documentary. I think it was the second documentary that I shot was with this bad boy. Bear with me here.
It's all right.
I got to plug all this stuff up together. Now, camcorders, I have no problem with it. Sony makes a good camcorder. This is a good camcorder. The AX33 was 4K. I mean, it's not a full frame, but
some of those get kind of expensive as well, too. Some of those camcorders get the night vision and all that on them.
It's funny you say that because the AX33 has night vision. This one's got night vision. Trying to get this locked down.
I'm still trying to get me a night vision camera. Still haven't pulled the plug on one yet. Still looking.
It's really worth it. I mean, because if you've got one that's got an IR cut filter that is removable, so this is my guy right there. So XLR microphone, an extra XLR input, so you could run two if you were broadcasting.
Okay.
If you were broadcasting one that was, let's see if I can get this camera to focus. Right there's the second input right there. Sometimes your wireless microphones will have a XLR that you can plug into it as the receiver, and that way it goes right in, records right into the camera. And this one here's got time code that you can jam time code into. So yes, camcorders, I have used them. It's funny because that one there, I actually was charging up the batteries in it a couple of days ago, and for a little adventure. But no, I've used camcorders. I've used big cameras. I've used small cameras. I've used cell phones.
Yeah. Well, those are pretty good cameras in them cell phones nowadays. They really are. I mean, it's amazing what they can do. It's almost borderline scary what they can do.
Yeah. I mean, when you can do like the on the iPhone, you've got that cinematic mode. So I can record, let's say you, and I can tap the screen to the background, and it'll switch focus off of you, blur you out, and focus on the background. So it's kind of like you're actually pulling focus on set.
Right.
So that you're doing manual focus, and it does it nice and smooth where it's not like instant jerk.
Right. Like, coming in. Yeah.
So I guess that's why they call it cinematic. But no, technology has come a long, long way.
It really has. It's wild. I never would imagine back in the day how much it's came. We were talking about AI earlier. It's just like on some of these cameras, they you can like remove objects like they weren't even there or make things dim. Like the only downside I see that how can you even really trust anything that you see anymore? If you can doctor a photo that much, I mean, is this real or not? I mean, has this been edited? I mean, is there any way of telling whether or not, like if there's something in the background that nobody wanted you to see and they removed it, is there any way to tell from that picture that something was removed or added? Is that possible? I don't know.
Well, there's a website, and I'll tell you this for different reasons too, but there's a website called Photo Forensic, and I believe it's spelled FOTO. Photo Forensic. And what you do is you upload a photo and it'll tell you if that photo has been manipulated. So let's say like the video that you had the other day out at the cemetery.
Right.
And let's say you snapped off a photo and you caught something in the background, but you stuck it into Photoshop and you kind of added like a little figure, shadow, whatever.
Right.
You take that and I can just grab it, do a screen grab and upload it to Photo Forensic, and it'll tell me if it's been manipulated, if that was added in post or if that was actually there.
Right. Wow, that's nice.
That's kind of cool. But then again, AI is going to ruin it for everybody because you won't know what's real anymore.
Exactly. I mean, I always joke about it. Say, well, not all AI is good. Have you ever seen that movie Megan? AI isn't always good,
I mean, come on, Skynet, people.
Exactly. The Terminator. Yeah, that's interesting. Kind of off the subject a little bit. Now, when you're out doing those reviews out there, do you you ever kind of get self-conscious, or you've been doing it so long now, doesn't it concern you who's in the background, who's looking at you, who's watching, anything like that?
It doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, it does. They're paranoid. I can't get that. People look at me funny,
Yeah, I mean, because when you're walking around and you're pulling a Casey Neistat and you're holding a camera out and you're talking to yourself, You know, it is a little bit, it kind of puts
Yeah.
you on the spot because you know people are going to look at you like, what the hell, right?
What's he doing? Who's
You
he
know, I
talking
mean,
to?
is that guy so stuck up on himself that he's taking a video
Yeah.
of himself?
Who do you think he is?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it maybe did years ago, but
Yeah.
you know, the way I look at it, I mean, it just happened today. So I went out to downtown, west of downtown Fort Worth today, and to shoot some stuff for, it's a place called the Log Cabin Village. So they've got, I believe it's 9 or 10 cabins there that have been gathered up from around the state of Texas, and they brought them there and put up like a little village, and they're authentic from the 1800s. So I'm out there and I'm shooting some video, and of course some people are asking, you know, hey, what are you doing? You know, and I'm just like, just a second, right? Let me just finish this one shot, right? And I guess I'm trying to get this talent to say a couple of these lines and just get it over with. And then I go back and I tell them, you know, that this is what I'm doing, and they're like, oh, that's really cool, you know. And but no, I mean, I don't let it bother me. The way I look at it is, it's so funny because if you can just tell yourself this, these are not people that you know. These are not people that you'll probably ever run into again. So their opinion of you, why should you let it bother you? Just have fun. And if they have questions, tell them, hey, I'm doing a video for YouTube. You want to be in it?
Right. And I think it's getting a little more common now because there's, you know, more people are getting out and doing it probably too. But yeah, but I mean, the first time, yeah, I was a little nervous, like, you know, people will look at me funny. You're just worried about what are they thinking, you know. But yeah, I'm getting a little more used to it now. It doesn't really bother me. Now, one thing I do make an appointment of doing, like, you know, when I go and shoots that like aren't in a field or somewhere like that or real public area, I get a hold of like the owner or the manager beforehand, say, hey, I explain who I am, what I want to do I have permission? And I just guess I've been lucky. I never had anybody say no, you know, yet, you know, unless it's a policy they have, you know, like certain things they don't want video of. And I understand that. Like some certain museums don't, you know, I'll see that on their website, so I won't even contact them. I won't, you know, but, you know, like I still got to do this video. I went into Jersey and then in New York. I filmed a lot of filming locations of the TV show Ed about the bowling alley lore, which was one of my favorite shows of all time. And some of the stores I went into, I said, hey, do you mind? No, I want no problem, not at all. So I'm in there because I was, you know, I just like to be courtesy that way, and it gets you along, you know, get you going a long way. And the funny part was I went to one of the houses where one of the main characters was his house in the show, and I pulled in front of the house, and guys out there, the dog said, how you doing? I said, help me. I said, yeah. I told him what it was. I go, would you mind if he didn't even know? I said, this is Mike Burton from Ed's show. Really? He goes, famous house? I go, yeah. So he goes, yeah, film all you want. Not a problem. Have at it, you know? And so I just after that, I talked to the guy, you know, and I think you meet new people. He didn't even know. I said, well, I just gave his guy something to talk about probably for the next few weeks. You know, hey, my house in the show. Because I mean, the house didn't change at all. It looked just like it. So, you know.
Wow.
You know, so I think it's always good just to be courteous. And a lot of times I'll tell people videos, just, you know, don't trespass. You know, if there's signs there, don't. You know, I mean, some people don't care. I guess I do. I just don't want to, you know, cause any stuff. But
you know, it's always better to be safe than sorry. And I know that a lot of people are growing up with this adage of it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission.
Right.
When it comes to that kind of stuff, I believe it's a lot easier. Just ask permission, and you may be surprised because you were courteous. They may go the extra mile and go, hey, would you like to hear about this or see this back area where the gangsters used to hang out?
Right, exactly.
I shot
exactly.
This was a long time ago about Campese's. It's a pizza place in Dallas. And Campese's was very well known for being the mob hangout. And because I got really nice with the owner, they let me go back there with the mob executed people and did their card games and all that stuff. So I got to film all that back there. So yeah, asking permission goes a long way.
Yep. So yeah, you just got there now, like I said, just got there and just do it and talk. You get used to doing it, like you said, and you just don't worry about people more. But a lot of people, like us, unfortunately, they get conscious of that. You know, like you said, what people say, what they're going to talk about, or what they're doing. You But if you're worried, if there's no problem, I just thought that people would look at you funny because you got all these cameras and after doing these tests and stuff. If anybody stop asking, what are you doing it for? Which one's the better one? Or
I mean, it's like when I did the low light video in downtown Grapevine with 4 action cameras.
Yeah, that was really good. I like that video.
And then I've got the Pocket 3 recording those, and it was and you got all these people looking at me as I'm walking. It's like the one dude started laughing right at the end of the video as I'm walking across the street, and he's on the cell phone, but I can hear him start to laugh because on video you see him look over at me as I'm talking to the cameras, and he starts chuckling. So he's probably thinking to himself, who the hell does this guy think he is?
Yeah, right. Oh yeah. That was a really neat video. It's you had all 4 you could actually see. Like I said, I looked at it and I thought, to me, the 5 looked really good. I can't believe how much better that the 5 was than the 4 and the low light. It was just, everything was so much brighter and crisper.
Yeah.
Than those other ones. The other one was bright, but it's like it was fuzzy to me. Where the 5 was, to me, was more sharp. The image is sharper and clearer to me.
Yeah,
that's what my eyes saw.
Yeah, it's definitely sharper, and it's a shame because when you upload to YouTube, no matter if I upload at 300 megabits per second or 600 megabits per second, it will crush that video quality down.
Yeah,
and it'll introduce some artifacts and all that. So you don't really get the true resolution of what it is. But I will say that the Action 5 is sharp, but it's a little bit over sharpened, especially when you go into that super night mode. It's like they really bump up the ISO really high because it'll go, believe it or not, for an action camera, it goes up to 50, I think it's 51,250 or 52,150. But anyway, that's a pretty high ISO. And you can see that there's a little bit of that AI nano chip working on the image. And I'm hoping that DJI releases a firmware update because right now its bit rate is really low for what it is. And I understand DJI says, well, because they've enhanced the encoding algorithm so that you can get the same quality footage but with a smaller size. But it's still in fast moving objects. You still see a lot of artifacts. It can't keep up. And bit rate is bit rate. I mean, the higher the bit rate, the more information is being grabbed every second of that image. So when you have, this is what, oh gosh, don't quote me. Is it 150 or 180? 180 megabits per second out of the Ace Pro. That's crazy high. That for an action camera, that's high compared to 40 something out of the Action 5. So when you think every second you got this much data that's getting put into that video file, the higher the bit rate, the more information it can gather.
So let's say if someone's coming to you, and what's the first thing you recommend if someone's new to the action camera game? Would you say, what would you tell them look for first, or what would you recommend? So something to look for, like this is the qualities or the features you want in it.
Yeah, I would have to turn it back around and go, okay, what are you expecting? What do you want out of an action camera? Is it
that's
4K
good. That's
30?
A good point. Right.
I mean, do you want 4K or are you okay with 2K? I don't like fake 4K. When they take 1080 or 2K and they make it look like it's 4K, it never looks like it's 4K when you upscale it. But I'd ask them, okay, resolution, is that important? Image quality? What about audio? What about stabilization? What about battery life? Are you going underwater with it? And it's really difficult sometimes because I'll have someone say on a video that I did a comparison of like the Ace versus the GoPro Hero 12. And they're like, which one should I buy? I just gave you a sample, right? Which one do you like the best?
Right.
because that's the one that you should go with. And I understand that they're trying to get my opinion on it, but it's like, this one is less expensive than the GoPro,
Mm-hmm.
and it shoots 6K instead of 5.3K. So you have to kind of
Yeah.
ask yourself, I mean, you want to stick with, the GoPro name, or you want to go with something that is really making a name for itself, and that's Insta360. And I know I've talked a lot about Insta360, but
Yeah.
I tell you, it's going to be an interesting end of the year.
I've never used any of their stuff. I nothing against it. I just never use it. I've always had. Well, then I'll probably be DJI now for. I mean, I'm kind of me, like you said. It's what you like. I'm kind of partial to them too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was looking at now how do you like the Action 4 to the Pocket 3? I mean, they're kind of different animals, I guess.
Yeah, they're very different, but I really enjoy the Action 4, and I really do like this DJI Pocket 3.
Yeah,
I love this little guy. I mean,
that bigger LCD screen made a world of difference right there.
Yeah, now there was a lot of people that were having problem with the screen where it wouldn't lock anymore. It would just kind of tilt sideways and flip around. And I put out a video giving my thoughts about what was causing it. And, some people agree with me. Some people are like, oh, no, that case has nothing to do with it. I think it's the case that it goes into. So as you pull the camera out of its case, it pulls on the screen just a little bit.
Okay.
Just enough to where maybe that mechanism, because it's got a center point in that screen where it tilts, maybe it's pulling on that mechanism just a little bit too much. So all I did was I just bent my case open a little bit more so it wouldn't squeeze on that screen so much.
Right.
And better safe than sorry, because
so over time might be causing that issue then.
Yeah, over time,
Right,
or
okay,
there's some people that only had it for like a week. And then there's that whole flipping the screen, because it's a hard click. So if you notice, when I turn mine on, I don't flick it hard to turn it on. I just gently just slide it. It turns on. And when I turn it off, I slide it back. I help it out. This is a fragile little camera. So I know it's really cool to sit there and flick it like you're flicking a Bic lighter, but for the cost of it, I want to be careful with it. So I take care of all my stuff.
Yeah, I was looking at it the other day and I realized that thing's still $700. That camera, that 3. I didn't realize it's that much. I'm thinking it's about the same cost as the 4 or 5. Like $400. I was like, wow, that's a lot more.
It's really worth to get the creator kit, because you get the wireless the wireless microphone. And then you get a battery, an extended clip-on battery that comes with a little tripod with it. And then you get another little dummy piece that you can use to screw the tripod into. $500, $700. It's really worth that extra $200 to go the creator combo kit just for the microphone, because this microphone you can hook up to the Action 4. You can hook it up to the Action 5. So it's very versatile. And then it records audio internally at 32-bit float. So
that's the one thing that's why I don't know if I'd get the kit, because I got those Hollyland Lark M2s, I think it is, and I love those little things. But like you said, that's the only downside.
Is that the little round ones?
Yeah, you can. I barely even see them. They clip on by magnets, or they've got a lanyard you can put on as a lanyard. But they sound great. But like I said, that's the only downside. They don't have the recording on it like those do. But like I said, I probably talked to you about that video I did on there. Just did a quick one, because I didn't see any video out there at all before I bought them, talking about does it work with this connection, that connection. Nobody was talking about every connection that's possible. So I'm gonna try it. If not, I'll send it back, because that's when they go on Amazon. I don't like it. Okay, go UPS store, ship it back for no questions asked. But so I tried every way you could connect it, through the USB-C, through the 3.5, all that stuff. everyone I worked with that camera, they all worked 100%, no issues at all. So I love those little guys. And that's what I used in my graveyard videos, those little things, because you don't have to, my wife was kind of out wandering away looking at this and that. She's 15, 20, 30 feet from the camera. Sound like she's right beside me. They're pretty good for the, I think they're like 169. I think it was 170, but someday I might get that Pocket 3. I just kind of like the little gimbal on it. So, but by that time, the 4 will be coming out or something. You know what I mean? That's the other problem. It's like they come out these things, some may be too fast sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, they came out with the 3, which had the focus issue problem on the Action 3.
Yeah, that's why I didn't buy that, because your video. Yeah, you was trying to get that fixed and couldn't do it.
And they came right out with the Action 4, and now boom, now we have the Action 5 Pro. So it's kind of Insta360 is like very much on a schedule. Every 2 years they come out with a new 360 camera. So we won't see another 360 camera from Insta360 till 2026. That'll be when the X5 comes out. Just because, I mean, how much can you do with 360? How much can you improve it?
Right.
Because the X4 is substantially heavier than the X3. But then again, video quality is there. But action camera companies now, GoPro, every September, you get another GoPro. And you kind of fall into this cycle of, everybody wants, well, I say everybody, most people want the latest and greatest.
Right. Yeah, they do.
Because they want better than what they've got. And next thing you know, you've got, 5, 7, 8, 10, 15 action cameras because you've bought every generation, and you have to kind of, me in my personal life, I've kind of hit the brakes. I was like, you know what, with these bigger cameras, and I'm in the Sony ecosystem 100%. Unless I don't even care what Sony comes out with anymore. I'm not buying anything else from Sony. Everything I've got is Netflix. Well, not all the cameras, but a couple of cameras I have are Netflix approved for bigger projects, and I'm good with that. And I don't need any more. Because it's very easy. A couple of my videos I talked about having gas, the gear acquisition syndrome, and you just kind of just like, whoa. I saw the Sony, what was it, the ZV-1? The ZVE1? Yeah, ZVE1. That does the little face tracking. So it crops in on the image a little bit, but it tracks you. Well, guess what? Action 5 Pro does the same thing. It takes it out of 4K mode to 2.7K, I believe. And but now it follows you around because it's got that 4K sensor landscape to be able to kind of move around. So it's kind of like having a second cameraman with you. But the Pocket 3 does a great job. Does a really, really good job.
Yeah, I like that. I like that little guy. I think I had the 2 for a while, but for some reason I didn't really care for that small screen. I couldn't get into it, and I think that's why I find the updates. Now I'm just going to go with the Action 4 and be done with it. Get up, to me, I've seen better reviews on it, on YouTube and things. So I thought, I think I got that at Best Buy. I was within my time frame, so it went back. So nothing against it. I just preferred the 4, the Action 4. So like you said, it's personal preference. It's like, what's the best this and best that? I don't think it really is the best. It's like you said, it's what are you going to use it for? What are you going to do with it? Like when I got into kayak fishing, people ask me, what kayak should I get? I'm like, it depends on what you want to do with it. There's a lot of things you got to factor in. Where you going to kayak in? It's going to be rivers. It's going to be the ocean. It's going to be the lake. Are you going to, how big are you? How much room do you want? There's so many different things. You kind of got to personalize it, I guess, a little bit to what you want, So
it's kind of like, it's kind of like I said earlier with the Canon color science. I really prefer Canon's color science, but since I'm in the Sony ecosystem, I shoot everything in S-Log3, so as flat as possible, and I do my own color grading, so I can get a Canon color look out of the Sony, and it's like, somebody commented on a video I put up was it last night? The Action 5 in search of Jesse James. It was so funny because I wanted to do a video 4K 60 to see how does that lower bit rate keep up with 60 frames per second, but I'll do it at half speed. So it kind of shows a slow motion, but I want to see stuff moving by. Is it really artifacting a lot? Right. And speaking of Artlist, I heard there was a song on Artlist, a Western song, and I heard it and instantly, it's so funny because a song can kind of get those creative juices going. And I heard that song, Western theme, and I was like, oh, I know exactly what I'm going to do.
Right.
So
that's funny. How does that?
I'm just going to make it short and sweet. And for one, it shows, yes, you can use an action camera and color grade it because I shot in D-Log M on the Action 5 Pro. But it shows that, you can actually use it not just for skiing or snowboarding or ice skating or whatever. You can actually film something with it.
Okay.
But it was also a test for me because I wanted to see, I knew what it looked like on my computer when I was editing it. I wanted to see what YouTube would do with it when they compressed it.
Right.
And it didn't turn out as bad as I thought it would.
One last question. I know it's getting late here. Before you go, if you're doing like a normal vlog, like like a lot of things I do, like a little walking and tour in place or something, what is your ideal setting? What's a recommended setting you would use on that?
On
Action 4, like 4K at 24 frames per second. Is that usually good?
Yeah, I mean, you hear a lot of people talk about 24 frames per second is your cinematic because it helps you create that motion blur if you can control your ISO and shutter speed. So if you're going to go full cinematic, you need to start using some ND filters. Me personally, for YouTube, I'm like, 4K 30 is just fine. If I'm purposefully going to, I kind of have a shot list whenever I go out. So if I know I'm going to be shooting a slow motion scene here, I'll either do 4K 60 or 4K 120 and either slow it down 50% or down to 25%. I would say the biggest thing that a lot of people miss is nailing your white balance. Get off the automatic white balance because if you're moving scenes, your white balance can shift. And when it does, all of a sudden your image gets a little bit brighter and then it kind of comes back down, or it gets really dark and then it lightens back up. If you lock in your white balance to where there's not going to be a color shift. And I would probably, on my Action 4 and on the Pocket 3, I knocked the exposure value down to like negative 0.3 or negative 0.7. Because they do tend to overexpose just a little bit. But otherwise, stabilization is great on those cameras. You don't have to worry about doing the ninja walk. Like, when I've got a big gimbal on a heavy camera rig and I'm having to do the ninja walk just because even though I'm using a gimbal, you have to watch out for that Z axis, which is the up and down steps. So you have to kind of do that nice, smooth ninja walk. And, with these action cameras today, it's just crazy.
Yeah, that's really clear. Well, hey, I really appreciate it. Like, we can go on and on. It's getting late. I'd like to have you back on. We can go into some more different topics.
Absolutely.
Because you've been doing this for a long time. You're pretty knowledgeable about all of it. So, again, I thank you for coming on and appreciate it. And hope you have a great rest of your week. And real quick before you go with the where people can find you. If they want to
you can find me on Facebook, Worth It or Not, with the question mark at the end, or on YouTube, Worth It or Not, or Twitter, Worth It or Not, or Instagram, Worth It or Not. That's where you can find me.
I want to give you a chance to promote yourself while you're here. So,
cool. Thank you.
I recommend you. So it's very good. Well, appreciate you again. Thanks for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great week there, bud.
Very good. Thank you very much, Chad. Appreciate it.
You bet. Bye now. All right, that ends today's show. Hope you all enjoyed that. Yeah, we could have gone on it. He's very knowledgeable on that stuff. It amazes me what he's done. I've learned a lot from his channel on buying action cameras and how they actually, perform. And he's definitely a trustworthy source. I highly recommend his channel. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed this show. I know it's been a long time since I had one on, but I'm glad you stuck with it here, and hope you enjoyed it. So until next time, hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.